Hey folks, welcome to the Do-It-Yourself Dad channel and welcome to Tech Tuesday. Today we're going for a hike because we are going to be playing around with the smallest drone I have ever played around with, the Hover X1. Now Tech Tuesday is a new thing on the channel, but what we do on Tech Tuesday is we take a new piece of technology like this and we review it. We don't get paid for these reviews, so everything you hear in this video is 100% honest, coming from me. So gizmos like this is exactly why I started Tech Tuesday. Now, complete full disclosure, Hover did send me this thing for free, but they are not paying me anything. I am free to say whatever I want about it. So at the end of this video, I'm going to be going over the pros and cons, and there are of course cons, because there's cons with everything, for this. Now, when they first reached out to me, this was being sold as a Kickstarter campaign. If you're not familiar with Kickstarter, you back a project with money and then hopefully you receive the product. I told myself I would never do a Kickstarter campaign on my channel because I don't want my viewers to invest money in something that might never happen. So I sat on this thing until they started shipping it, and they have started shipping them. Not only have they started shipping them, but you can buy them retail on their website now. So it's out of the Kickstarter phase, you can actually get these. Now this thing actually is pretty cool. It has a lot of things in here that I haven't seen in other drones, but probably the most significant, we've seen folding drones, we've seen little drones, but I haven't seen a drone before that you don't need a controller for, you don't need your phone for, and you don't have to link up to satellites. Let me explain how this thing works. Now, as you can see, this thing is pretty small. It can fold up and go right in your pocket. When you open it up to fly it, you open the sucker up, you turn it on, and then there's preset flight modes. And we're gonna show those to you in just a second. But what I really love about this thing is you don't have to use a transmitter, you don't have to use your phone, and you don't have to sync it up to satellites. As soon as you take it out of your pocket, it's ready to go. Now, the magic by not having to hook up to satellites is on the bottom. It's got this camera right here on the bottom and these two sensors that sense altitude and position over the ground. The pro to this is that you don't need to spend time linking up to satellites, but there are some cons, and we'll talk about those at the very end of the video. But right now, let's get this thing in the air. So to get it started, we just open it up. You can see here the props are all protected, and we hit the power button here. See a little green light come on the front of it? And now up here, there's the different flight modes.
Current mode, zoom out.
So it's in zoom out mode, but I think I want to do the follow mode, and we're going to take this thing on a little hike. So let's get it up in the air. So to get it in the air, all we need to do is push that little button right there and hold it out in front of our face.
Continue, follow.
And now it should follow me, and we should get some cool video of it doing that. So now it's following me. If you can see it behind me, it's going to follow me on my hike and film me the whole way. Now what's nice in this mode, you can actually go into your camera settings in the phone and you can actually set the altitude. So if you want it to follow you at a higher altitude, you can do that. And let me show you how you bring it back in when you're done. When you're done with your shot, all you need to do is come out here with your hand and she lands right there. So now I want to try another mode, Dolly Track. Dolly Track should actually put the camera on the side of me instead of behind me. So we're going to switch over to Dolly Track.
Custom, Dolly Track. Continue, Dolly Track.
And there it is. So now this thing should kind of follow me wherever I go. You can see it's doing exactly that. It is following me if I walk past it. Okay, so now we're out here on top of kind of a rock outcropping, and I want to change some of the settings in the camera. So we're going to go in here. This is really the only time you need your phone, is if you want to change a setting in here. We're going to go into hover and then go into modes. And the mode I want to change is the orbit mode, because I want to do, so the mode I want to change is the hover mode. I want to do a larger radius, so we're going to do a 6-meter radius. So that's going to be about 18 feet. And we're going to rise the thing up 1 meter. And we're going to switch it to orbit mode. That's impressive. That is really cool. Now there's another one I want to try here. It basically goes straight
Bird
up.
eye.
So let's do a bird eye from the same spot.
15 meters. Bird eye.
She's done, she's coming back down now. Now what's impressive is even though it doesn't have GPS with that optical flow, look at this. Look at this. No GPS. So like I was saying before, what's nice about this is every other drone that I've had, when you set it up, you take it out of the bag, you've got to sit it on the ground, wait for the GPS to kick in, the accelerometers, all that stuff to kick in. It can take some time. So if you want that quick shot, you just can't do it. So here, I'm just gonna
Custom.
so here I'll demonstrate how quick it is. We're gonna turn it off. So now it's off. I'm gonna close it up. And I'm gonna put it in my pocket. So let's see how long it takes to get this thing out of my pocket and in the air, and we're gonna do a go out and back shot. So we're gonna take it out of my pocket, pop it open, power it up. And it's on.
Current mode. Zoom out.
There's the zoom out shot. Hit the flight
9
button.
meters. Zoom out.
And that's how quick it is. I've never had a drone that was this quick to get off the ground. You always had to do something or pull out your phone or get it to link to your phone or get it to link to GPS. This thing just goes. DJI, I hope you're paying attention because something like this is a real game changer for folks that want to just go out on vacation and film themselves. Maybe get some family pictures and whatnot. So let's get this thing back in here. And now my shot's done. It's powered off. I can fold it in half, stick it in my pocket, and we're off to the races. Now it's getting hot, but there's a few more things I want to try. Go into my phone here. There is a sound recording setting, and you can turn that on, and voice on. And what supposedly this will do is it'll record your voice from your phone, not from this. So you'll be able to hear your voice over this, and it's supposed to have some noise canceling, so it's supposed to actually wash out the sound of the drone. So first I want to try that from my phone, and then I want to try putting in my earbuds and see if it works through my earbuds. So I have those settings turned on my phone. So we're gonna do this in Dolly Track mode, and we're gonna try to film on our way back down to the truck because I'm gonna get my bike out. Supposedly this thing can do 15 miles an hour, and I wanna see if it can keep up with me on the bike. So let's get it fired up in Dolly Track mode.
Continue. Dolly Track.
So if we did everything right now, we should actually be hearing my voice through my phone and not through the drone, which is pretty cool. So let's see if this works. Right now, we're just using the microphone on my camera, and it should be washing out the sound of the drone. Now, something to note is this drone does not have obstacle avoidance, so it is following me, but there's a lot of brush around. So you got to kind of keep an eye on it and make sure I don't walk it right into a tree. Or me fall down too. I think we're about to find out what happens if this thing crashes, because oh, you know what? It actually just went right over a bush. It saw it with the optical flow sensor and picked itself up. So that's pretty cool right there. So we'll hike a little bit more with it, and then we're going to switch to my earbuds and see if I can actually do anything with the earbuds here. Now, the one thing I wish the Dolly Track mode would get in front of me. It's supposed to be able to do that. I'm not really sure why it's not. So in a second, I'm going to turn around and just see if I walk towards it, what it does. I believe it should actually back itself up. So I've stopped. So now I'm going to walk towards it. Oh, see, there it goes. So now it's staying in front of me. So we'll walk up this a little bit. It took me a second to figure out how to land it in Dolly Track mode because it kept trying to get away from me. But the trick seems to be if you just hold still for a couple seconds, it stops filming and lands in your hand. So we'll come up here for a bit. And then I'm going to land it. We're going to put in the earbuds and see if it works with the earbuds in, because that would be really nice, because then you could be hands-free. You wouldn't have to have your phone out like this. Now, when we were on the trail, I recorded through my phone. I did try to do with an earpiece in connected to my phone, but I screwed up. It was operator error, so we're trying it again in my backyard. So we're going to pair it up to the phone and fly this thing, and then I'm going to explain what I did wrong and see if this thing does something right. And then I'm also going to tell you a little thing that I discovered the other day when I was playing around with this thing here at the house as far as how the audio works. So we're in the backyard and I've got the earpiece in. Now the mistake that I made before was I had it connected to my phone, but then I turned my phone off and I shoved it in my pocket. What I figured out later going through everything is you can just shove your phone in your pocket like this, but you can't turn it off, because what the Bluetooth headset is doing is recording to your phone the audio, and the video is being recorded to the drone. So what this means also is when you pull the footage, if you hook it USB into your computer from the drone, you're not going to get the audio. You actually have to download it through your phone and then to the computer to get to the audio. Now, the other thing I discovered when I was messing with this in the house is as you get closer, the noise cancellation with the props doesn't work as well, and it starts garbling your voice. So I've closed in on it now, and you'll hear my voice is probably a little garbly. As I back up again, it's going to probably start sounding better, and that's because there's a little bit more distance between the drone and the microphone. Now the final mode, which I will address at the very end of this video in the pros and cons section, is the manual control mode. This is where it gives you manual control. You can fly this thing like a radio controlled drone, and that's how I got these great tracking shots of my backyard. Now if you're admiring any of this, the koi pond or the pool is going to be in a construction video on pool construction coming out on the channel real soon, so you're going to want to stay tuned or subscribe if you want to check that out. And now, because I haven't managed to crash it or myself yet, we need to see how fast this thing can go and how well it can track a fast-moving object. So we grabbed the bike and got the thing out on the trail. Now I did the bike on Dolly Track mode, and this is honestly where it really impressed me the most, and this is also I figured out a thing or two about Dolly Track mode. Now what I figured out with Dolly Track mode is the camera will always generally point in the same direction, so that's why it'll follow you at times and be in front of you at times, because if you start the camera facing west, like I am right now, it'll pretty much always face west as it's filming, so it'll rotate around you if you change the direction you're going. Now I filmed over 6 minutes of just riding video with this thing, so I'm going to clip it together and show you kind of what I think are the highlights. Now I'm not obviously riding really hard or super fast through this, but in some of these sections I did, according to the speedometer on my bike, get it up to about 18 miles an hour, and it did do a perfect job tracking the bike, even in sudden speed changes like you saw when I went down that little incline, and I certainly got some weird looks from hikers in this area. One thing to note is where I live, this area you are actually permitted to fly drones, so I'm 100% within all the rules flying and having this thing chasing me here. And speaking of drone laws, please, if you do decide to get something like this, look into all the local laws and ordinances, FAA regulations, and all that good stuff to make sure that you are operating within the confines of the law. Drone pilots have been getting a bad rap lately, and we want to improve that by making these things fun, approachable, and not causing problems with them. Now let's go over the pros and cons of this thing. So as far as pros go, it obviously is very small. You can fit it in a pocket, you can pull it out, you don't need your phone, and you can deploy it, get it in the air extremely quickly, which makes it great if you're taking this out on family vacations or travel or hiking or anything like that. Next pro is the filming modes on this thing are actually pretty useful. It's a lot of the shots you would typically want if you were going out on a hike or a vacation. You would want that orbit shot, that the from above shot is really neat. The tracking shot, I think, is probably the tracking and dolly mode are the ones that are going to be used the most, because that way if you're walking through a park, going on a hike, going on vacation. Those are the ones I think you're really going to use the most. The point of this thing is not to be an acrobatic drone and not to be like a cinematic drone where you're really going up and taking beautiful shots. It's to get video of you and your family. The next thing I really thought was neat about it was that microphone mode. I can really see that being used for vloggers, YouTubers, people that are making social media content. You can pull this out of your pocket, throw it in the air, and get your audio sunk up directly to it and not have to play games with audio later and deleting out the sound of the drone and things like that. Another pro on it is flight time is actually pretty decent. You're just going to be taking short clips with this thing, but I could get about 10 to 15 minutes of flight time with each battery. And here I'll show you, it came with, these are the batteries. It actually came with two and a charger, and the charger charges on USB Type-C. So I just leave this thing in the center console of my truck and throw batteries in it, and I've always got batteries charged. I keep this thing in the glove box of my truck as well. Another pro is this thing is under the 250-gram weight limit that the FAA and a lot of other governing agencies has set for regulated drones, which means a lot of the rules and restrictions and licenses needed to fly heavier stuff is not needed to fly this little thing, which is definitely a pro if you don't want to have to jump through all those hoops to legally fly. So sitting here editing, and I realized I neglected to mention one thing in the pros column. The props, or how they are enclosed. Now, they don't enclose props on a lot of other drones, and it makes it dangerous if you get this thing too close to you, a person, or if you have a prop strike on something, you can damage what you hit. You can also break the blade, which causes it to crash. This thing, you can bump into stuff, and I have bumped into stuff, both intentionally and unintentionally to see what it would do, and I haven't managed to damage this thing. What it does when it hits something is it goes kind of into a landing mode where it just lands and it says you hit something, and then you can take right back off again. So now for the cons. The first con is just a little design thing that kind of bugs me, and that's the camera. The camera is right up here in the front, and it's exposed, and it's fragile. So if you fold this thing in half and put it in your pocket, there's nothing protecting the camera, so you do have to be careful with it throwing it in your pocket and also ramming your hand in your pocket to pull it out. It would be nice if when this thing closed up, it held the camera in place. I am going to design something to 3D print on here, and if I do that, I'll have a link for it down below. You can download it for free. Another con with this thing, and I talked about the pros with that little sensor on the bottom. The cons of that sensor is it is a camera, which means at night, this thing will not fly well. I'll tell you how I know that. I was messing around with this thing in my front yard the other day, and instead of it turning back to me, it didn't know where it was, and it decided to fly full speed into my neighbor's garage door. Now on the other side of that, the pro is this thing did fly full speed into my neighbor's garage door, and I picked it up and flew it again. So these nice caged props are nice. So I guess that's a pro. I should have said that earlier in the video. My last major gripe with the thing is manual mode stinks. I don't know if you're going to be flying this thing in manual mode, but I have been. I got some good dolly shots of my new pool that I just built. Video coming out on that soon. But manual mode on this thing is not intuitive. I'll show you a screen grab of what the controller looks like here. I think I showed it earlier in the video as well. But it puts things in a weird vertical format and not how you would be flying it if you were used to regular drones. And it also is very, very slow when you're flying it in manual mode. So you can't really chase or follow anything. And it does have the ability to do that speed. We saw that in the mountain bike clip. You just can't do it in manual mode. So that's another one of the cons. So I'm going to be completely honest about this drone. When I first got reached out to about it, I said yes, and I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. Now, if you are wanting a drone because you want to really get to manually fly it, this is not the drone for you. If you're looking for a drone to get some nice shots of you and your family out on a walk or out on a hike or on vacation, this thing might fit the bill, so you probably want to check it out. It is cheaper than anything from DJI, and I hope DJI is paying attention to this because this is really neat, and it really opens the door for people that are not pilots, aren't into RC, and are not comfortable with flying because you don't have to do any of the flying. It does all the flying for you. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you think this thing might be the right drone for you, I will have a link for it down below. Now, if after watching this video you don't think this is the right drone for you, you're welcome. I just saved you some money because I told you the truth. And a lot of YouTubers don't do that anymore. So, either way, if you could hit that subscribe button because I will have a Tech Tuesday coming out at least every month with more honest tech reviews. Leave me a comment down below if you've got any questions about this or any other drones. I've flown a lot of stuff over the years. Got a lot of drone knowledge up here. Hit that thumbs up button. It really, really does help out the channel. And of course, thanks for watching.